Yeah, that looks like it's right. Oh my good lord. Okay, we're starting over. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to do, hopefully, knock out 20 OPR beastmen. And these are the bigger versions. I've already painted the small version for the army, which are these dudes right here. This is pre-wash. So this is just straight color on them. Nothing, no real details yet. And I got my colors laid out the way we're going to use them. We got blood red, hardened leather, satchel brown, polished silver, sand golem, and pallid bone. We're going to see because these guys all have horns. We're going to try some pallid bone, see if that is the direction we want to go or if we want to go with a darker brown. I'm not sure. Yeah, Army Painter. Army Painter speed paints. Start off with some red. And there's a good angle. And what I like to do with my speed paints is I just get a dropper and I put one drop of water in there. And we're going to go ahead and get started. Hey everybody. I see some chat rolling in now. you got to see my usual, screw up right at the beginning. Okay, we're just going to start laying down some red. And while we're doing this, I was trying to come up with what I'm going to talk about tonight. And my members saw that I actually just cut a video for talking about the lore of 40K and where it fell off for me. And of course, every time I make a lore video while I'm in the middle of editing it, something crazy always happens. And they had that new episode come out that had the female custodes, and I was like, listen, I put it in the video. I was like, listen, I got nothing to do with this. I've got no opinion on it. Whatever you guys want to do. But while I was making that video, I wanted to see if I could find some pictures from an old blog I had. Yeah, I used to have a blog. I'm that old. Where it was like 2010. Yeah, oof, my spine. Yeah, it was like 2010. I had a blog, and honestly, I had a bunch of angsty stuff on there, so don't go looking for it. The things I was spouting out were kind of dumb, but I was able to find some pictures of me playing 40K back then, and I actually took them and I dumped them on the Discord server. I was like, hey, check this out. So if you guys are on the Discord server, you got to see some really, really terrible pictures from back when I had a flip phone. But back then, I used to do a lot of 40K. And then I thought about the numbers. And for like 20 years, 20 solid years, I'd go to a tournament at least one a month. Sometimes 2 or 3 a month. 20 years. So I've been to like 200 or 300 tournaments. And let me tell you, back in the day, tournaments used to be like the Wild West. There was no real organization. It was, whatever you could throw on the table. Tournament organizers usually made their own scenarios. Oh, it was wild. But there's some like after action reports I had on there from some tournaments, and there were some comments like, "Wow, are tournaments down in Florida always that spicy?" I'm like, "Well, yeah. Sometimes they were pretty rough." So what I'm trying to say is I have forgotten more stuff than I could possibly remember about tournaments. So always the really oddball ones always stick out. So I figure I could tell you some stuff. Oh, why did I stop doing the tournaments? Um, that is a good question. Well, mostly it's because the game store, like the last game store I was going to, shut down, and there was like a 6 month span. Oh, I'm whistling tonight. There was like a 6 month span where I didn't have a store, and that's after I made the move to Michigan from Florida. So I didn't know where to find them. I mean, down there through word of mouth over the years, like if I didn't have a tournament in my shop that week and I wanted to do one, by God, I could find one. But so that's probably the reason I'd give you why is that was in 9th edition, and my store just kind of disappeared. Well, thanks for telling everyone about my videos. Yeah, OPR is one of those games I just want to, it's open to everybody. Yeah, live streams, what I'm doing for live streams, I'm kind of disjointed while I'm, my thoughts are disjointed while I'm painting. Usually it's in silence or listening to a podcast. But, oh yeah, I'm in Michigan. But yeah, for the live streams, what I'm planning on doing and what I've been doing is that once a month there's going to be a public live stream like this, and then every week I do one for the members. So it's going to be like the first one of the month, first live stream of the month is going to be public. All the rest of the month are going to be for members, and we've decided through a poll that Thursdays are going to be the day. But yeah, oddball stuff about tournaments. There's one that I read that it came rushing back to me when I read about it on my old blog. I don't know if any of you guys were doing tournaments back in like 3rd edition, but man, things, like I said, were cutthroat. There was a tournament that I traveled to. It was about an hour and a half away. And so I didn't know anybody there. So I show up, I was playing Dark Eldar at the time. And so we get paired up in the first mission. I think that we started like an hour late. Just because back then, like I said, Wild West, there was no organization. Everyone will be here at 8, and we might start on time. So when they talked about the first pairings, I was actually in the crapper. So I came out, I got out, got told where to go, went over to my first table, and it was a Space Wolf player. And I thought, okay, cool. So yeah, I don't have a members only Discord. It's just the whole Discord is just kind of open for everybody. But yeah, so I was in the crapper and then went over to my first opponent. He was a Space Wolf player. And then I looked at the rules packet because back then there was no, you didn't get anything on your phone. You just found stapled papers on your table. And it said mission number 1. It was kill points was the primary, and then there was some secondaries. I don't remember what they were, but kill points was the primary. And back then, kill points, kind of like in my last campaign mission, you just get 1 point for killing an enemy unit. And back then, especially if you've seen the pictures on the Discord, you can see just how many units I had in my Dark Eldar army. I think I had 33 units in my 2,000 point list. It was ridiculous. And the Space Wolf had like 12. Ooh, I'm off screen. So, we get to playing. And then at the top of turn 4, it's my turn. All he had left on the board was one Space Wolf Terminator captain on the center objective. You know, I still had 2, maybe 3 turns left because of the random turn limit. He just knocked it over and he was like, okay, yeah, you win. He conceded. So I'm thinking, okay, cool, max points, yay, mission's over. And by that point, I was starving. I was like, okay, so I told the tournament organizer I won. I went out and got some food. Came back, my second opponent I think was a Grey Knight. And then I get told, okay everyone, we're going to be doing mission number 1 in the packet. Like, didn't we just do mission number 1? No, turns out that was their standard packet and they scramble it up every time they play. Again, Wild West, no set rules. Turns out my first opponent just saw my army and went, oh yeah, he's got a lot of stuff, I'll be able to win. He's got a lot of kill points to give up. Okay, it's just, you know, whatever, that happened. So I do another kill point mission against the Grey Knights. Still win, but, you know, I don't table them, but I still win that mission. Nothing too crazy happened there, except, you know, early Grey Knights were ridiculous. And then I get paired into round 3 against another Space Wolf guy. Come to find out, I'm on the table playing for, you know, 3rd and 4th. Well, that's weird. I should have been playing on the top table. Turns out, after I went to get lunch, the Space Wolf player told the tournament organizer that I did not get max points because he still had his Wolf guy left, his Wolf Terminator left on the board. The tournament organizer told me that, and I was like, wait a minute. You mean where I still had 2 turns left to shoot him and kill him and all that, you're just going to say, no, it didn't count? I should have stayed there and rolled the dice. He conceded anyways, and back then if you conceded, it was max points to your opponent. And the tournament organizer was like, yeah, well, that sucks, but we're too far away from it now. We can't change your points. Great. Okay. So then the Space Wolf guy I was up against in the 3rd round, I forgot what the mission was, but again, it got down to like he had 3 characters left at the end of turn 3, and he's like, I concede, you win. I'm like, oh, no. I'm not doing that again. We're going to play this out. And I forced him to sit there while I blew every last model off the board. Just to be like, look, I did it. And I ended up getting 3rd place, and I was like, hey, whatever. Kind of felt bad about that, but I'm like, listen, if that's the way your TO is going to run things, it's not my fault. But yeah, I traveled a lot for tournaments. Only like all across Florida. I really never got out of Florida. There's a few times like I went to, you know, Feast of Blades when that was in Denver. And then I did the Ard Boys tournament when GW actually ran tournaments. And God, the Ard Boys feel so weird compared to what they do now. Because back then, Ard Boys was a 2,500 point tournament. Just, they said, bring your beat stick stuff. You didn't even have to be painted. You could put gray models on the board and just blast other people. Their tagline for it was, "This is not a sportsmanship tournament." Oh, great. So I did Ard Boys every year for like 5 years, or I did Ard Boys every year for as many years as it was out. I can't remember. It might have been like 3 or 4 years. Yeah, we could do Age of Fantasy battle reports because right now the Saurians are technically the Saurians are an Age of Fantasy battle. The Saurians are an Age of Fantasy army at the moment. That's until the Frog Mage wakes up and they remember how to use guns. But yeah, Age of Fantasy battles is cool. You can do it with that. Yeah, another thing I saw in Florida with an Ard Boys tournament. I made it through the first round, went to the second round of the Ard Boys tournament, so I had to go all the way to Tampa. And now the town I was in was Fort Myers, Florida, which is just north of Naples, which has gotten oh so much bigger since I left. Oh, so much bigger. Yeah, for the battle reports, there's going to be just a summary and a picture just to, somewhere in the battle just to show that, yes, it actually happened. So I went to the second round of the Ard Boys tournament up in Tampa, so it was a solid 4 hour drive. Sounds crazy to some people where I go, yes, I traveled north to go to Tampa. And I was thinking, hey, cool, whatever. I was a seasoned hand at tournaments now. I know what I'm getting into. Well, it wasn't my table. It was the guy on the table next to us. There was actually an odd number of players, and he was playing the buy. He was playing just some store volunteer who had an army. I guess it was a store army, but that guy lost his mind because as the first turn went on, the guy who was the store volunteer said, "I'm going to fire all of the missiles he used to put on rhinos, hunter killer missiles. I'm going to fire all the hunter killer missiles that are in the army on turn number one." And the guy was like, "You can't do that. They're not actually there. There's no hunter killer missiles on those models." And this guy was a store volunteer using the store army, and he threw a fit for like 20 minutes. But how you can't do that? That's not fair. That's not WYSIWYG. Me and the guy on the table next to him was just like, oh, good lord, I don't want to play him. But then as the game progressed, that guy ended up losing to the store volunteer, and what should have been a bye, the tournament organizer decided to score it like it was a real tournament game. And again, the guy threw more of a fit and just left. Screw you guys, used a lot of choice language. Trying to keep it clean for YouTube. But used a lot of choice language and then skedaddled. Right, we're going 20 minutes already. I'm not even halfway through the red. I might have to knock this down to like 5 models so we can get through them. which is fine. I gotta get these done for this weekend because that's when I'm recording with these for you guys to watch the next weekend. I think this weekend coming up, we're gonna have the Retmen clans fighting against the Dwarfs. And then after that, we're going to be doing some Battle Brothers, and I got some close combat suits I'm working on back here. Yes, those guys are mostly apps from OPR. That is something I definitely, it's something I definitely like and look forward to. But like all the other tournaments I've been to across the country, I swear, South Florida just was full of those idiots. Every every time I bring stuff up, everyone's like, "Oh, it wasn't that bad." I'm like, "Phew. Oh no, man." 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, let's knock it down to 5, and we'll just pile through those for colors, just so I can give you guys the all over on that. And the little ones went a lot faster than these. Oh, this is the GW paint handle. I bought a couple of these when that store that I was at went out of business. They had like 5 of these left over, and I have 2 that have survived this long. Yeah, how to tell someone's never been to the South. Yes. I love when I tell people I'm from the South, and they're like, "You don't sound like it." I'm like, "Man, I'm from so far south, we quit giving a damn." I was from so far south, we used to joke and call it North Boston. Or South Boston. All right, let's get an order going here. Next, we're going to work on some leather. And again, with the hardened leather, that is a strong color if you do not dilute it. So we, again, are going to do, boop, just enough. This way. So then normally for these straps down here, I would do them like a cloth color. But because I'm doing like a yellow fur on these, we're doing hardened leather because otherwise they would just get lost in it. Yeah, we used to call it South Boston down there because we had the Red Sox. That was their spring training field. And so every year we'd get Boston people down there, and then sometimes they would, sometimes they get stuck. They would move there. Yes, the Retmen. Retmen is actually a pretty good army. It was one of those I was like, I don't know. Didn't really have high hopes for it reading through the book, but then I saw some combos and the way to put some stuff together, and I was like, oh, there is power here. So you'll get to hear me go over all of that. Yeah, my first store down in Florida, we used to joke around and call that Thunderdome. Because I remember my first day walking in there, a little fresh-eyed teenager going, "Yay, I want to play with models." I saw somebody pull a gun. Friend of mine, still a good friend of mine. He pulled a gun on somebody and was like, "You better stop cheating." That was good old Rob. Yeah, the Eternal Wardens are coming. They are coming. Still trying to, I guess you could say, find an army list that works for them. Or an army list for them that works for me. Mostly because every time I look at their army list, I get distracted, and the army list ends up being like 4 or 5 dragons. I'm like, maybe not. For right now, no, we're not going to put up any armies for sale. Um, People were starting to. I kept getting reported, and it took a while for me to figure out what it was. It was other people that were selling models on there. They were upset that I was selling things so cheap. So we'll figure something out. And right now, I think the stuff that I have, I'm going to wait until I'm done with all the armies, and then I'm going to have a massive layout of everything. Just going to have to find some place to do it because I don't think I got enough room in the garage. And because of the way that the TOS is worded, I'll have to talk to some people. But to get around that for the like the monthly contest I did for the painting contest. Oh, I missed that. What did that say? Oh, do I want a massive robot? I already have massive robots. But for the painting contest, the way I'm getting around that is that I've actually ordered a model from Only. God, I keep wanting to call it OnlyFans, but Only Games. So that hopefully will be here one day. We'll see. What army would I recommend for returning slash noobs? Well, that's the thing is that OPR. Every army is simple enough to just pick up, but then digging deep into it, it takes a little bit of. It takes some looking into it to really find the power. You want to do 40 like well, you want to do Grimdark Future or Age of Fantasy? And are you looking for a high model count or a low model count army? Let's see. I can rattle through some options. Oop. Okay, cool. Battle Brothers for the low model count or the Custodian Brothers. Those are real good for low model counts. Like I said, every army is relatively easy to pick up, like rules wise. Um, There's a few that like there's only a few that take a little finesse. Like I think jackals take finesse. No, let's not do that color yet. Let's do right to the silver. Like jackals take some finesse. The Retmen clans take some finesse. Dwarfs kind of take some finesse. You just have to find a way around the slow rule. But yeah, I still haven't done everything yet. Okay, we want to do little spines. What I'm planning on doing to these two is once we put the washes on, that's when I'm going to de-stress them and just beat up a lot of the armor panels and the metal. That's where I just go nuts. And I start using sponges and washes and paint goes flying. So that's why I don't do that on stream, because that's more of a free form. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm going to end up when I start when I do that one. Yeah. Yeah, there is a finite number of rules that are in one-page rules, which is a good thing, yeah, if you're just starting out. And like you said, half the armies do just have an undead rule that just has another name on it. Yeah, Alien Hives is a good one. And the good thing about Alien Hives is you can pretty much build those however you want. You can just do a whole bunch of monsters for lower model count, but bigger monsters. And then you could switch over to a whole bunch of little dudes, or you could do living artillery. For Age of Fantasy, I would have to suggest like a lower model count, but relatively easy to figure out. I would have to say like either high elves, yeah, high elves or like shadow stalkers seem to be a good one that have like kind of a mid model count. Which I'm going to redo the shadow stalkers video. I'm going to do it around Halloween because ooh, spooky. Just because they changed up so much from when I put that video out. Awesome. I love to hear that. You can. I don't know if you guys can hear, but my printer's running over there. It's doing the commander for my my battle brothers. And yes, demons do both. Yeah, living artillery is cool. Demons do both. There is some finesse in all the demon armies, though. Which I still haven't. I've played all the demons, but I haven't made videos on all the demons. I mean, War Demon is pretty simple. Just go punch stuff in the face. Well, the change demons shoot. It's all short range, but they all shoot fireballs out of their butts. Yep, okay, that's it for the metals. Yes, they do play odd. Like I said, there's some finesse there. And like, yeah, change demons just being odd, the way they have all the psychic power and they have the shooting and they are stealthy. You know, you got to find ways to maximize on that. And then the lust demons, they are extremely fast, but they're also extremely squishy. They don't hit particularly hard, but they do hit a lot. So if you run up against something with a whole lot of defense, you might not have a great time. Yeah, I'll agree with that. Plague Demons is the one to just pick up and go. Probably be the better choice out of all the demons. And it's funny, these guys are red and choppy too. Well, if you're not opposed to like vehicles, um, the Dwarf guilds I found are real strong. If you get their APCs and their attack vehicles like firing on all cylinders, they are real strong. Just finding a way to get around that slow rule. And another thing too, I didn't bring up in the video. I played an awful lot of Dwarf guilds because you saw I did the video where I showed off my first Dwarf guild army. I said I'm not trying to be racist against dwarves, but I mean stereotypes exist for a reason. But yeah, something I found with the Dwarf guilds is that the power suits are kind of a trap. You put a whole lot of points into them, and they don't really do all that much. Listen, my first Dwarf Guild army were short supremacists. They hated anything taller than them. I'm sure I'm missing some armies. There's so many different armies in OPR, and I've done over half of them. Yeah, the Human Defense Force, they are going to get a nice little update. Um, well, just because every time OPR touches an army and brings up models for them, they do get that update. Yeah. Yeah, they really hate tall people. The Dow Union, again, it's one of those. It's a finesse army, just because of the way you have to use the spotting drones. Like using the spotting drones, you're going to get a whole lot more firepower than you would if you just didn't use them. And sometimes they work. You kind of have to invest into it. When they work, they work. But sometimes they just don't. Yes, the wardens do have a nice model count, but it's just I don't think about them yet. Like I said, every time I look at the warden's army list, I'm like, ooh, dragons. I gotta stop that. Okay, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You can chime in here. You all can talk to each other. Yeah, they're doing the what is that? The narrative campaign. Really, all that's left is the skin. color or the fur color, and God, I want to wait that. Okay, while I'm waiting, I want to wait for that to dry before I really jump into that. Let me show off some weird things I've done for the Battle Brothers. I'm taking speeders, and this is what I found. Ta-da! Mostly because the speeders I'm using have the transport capacity. So they got railings, little OSHA in the grim dark future, so you don't fall off. So my thoughts for them is it's going to be a rapid, like a rapid response force. And so some speeders with some transport capacity I thought would be pretty cool. And these are by that evil one. And you'll see him come up in the Ratman video. Yeah. Yeah, I completely forgot about those guys. Not the Dow, but the Empire. God, what are they called again? Sorry. Yeah, Eternal Dynasty. That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah. God, they were my first video. I can't believe I forgot about them. That's another shout out I make too. For trying to find models that you like, there's a website called Yeggi, YEGGI.com. It's kind of like the Google for STL files. Yeah, I was thinking about Eternal Dynasty. They are they're kind of what I think the Dow Union wanted to be in the first place, but then I don't know, they split that army in half. The Eternal Dynasty has some cool. They have like I don't know. It's like the 40k Tau, just a different flavor. And then they took the flavor of the Tau from 40k and they broke it into two parts. Yeah, the Eternal Dynasty is a pretty good army. Okay, for this color, for the sand golem, I'm doing for the fur. This comes out just straight yellow, unless you water it down as much as I did there. Give this a stir, and I'm probably gonna I'm gonna spill paint everywhere. All right. What, you don't like the boxy boat tanks? Yeah, those could use another look. What the hell was that? Printer, I'm using a Mars 2 Pro. You can't even get a Mars 2 Pro anymore. They're so outdated. So it would be you were looking for like an Elegoo Saturn, I think, is their new version. I did my printer repair video and I was kind of like, hey guys, send me a printer. Yeah, Elegoo printers. I've only had the one, but it's been real good. And if you watch that video, you can see just how much I abuse it. Okay, so we are yellowed. Yeah, no problem. That's what I'm here for. These streams are pretty much just me hanging out on a Thursday night. This time of night, it would normally just be me printing like with, or painting with like anime recaps on. And that's something too that all my friends make fun of me for. My favorite animes are isekais. Apparently, that's weird. Oh yeah, I missed that question. Yeah, resin. I use Sunlu ABS. It's the one that I've gotten the best results on because normally you wouldn't be able to do this with a regular resin. No, I don't have dirty down rust. I have, where is it? I have a couple of different things. I have light rust, rust, all from Vallejo, and then the big one, if I really want something, I use the Vallejo environmental rust texture. Yeah, I don't know. My friends say I'm weird for liking isekais. I mean, it's nothing to be too scared of. Resin is. It's it's you just gotta. I don't know. I don't want to sound too flippant with it because I've been using it for years, but it's just like using. Treat it like the same you would treat a bottle of bleach. You don't want to drink it. Yeah, Jupiter would be awesome. Like I said, my little Mars too. I'm working on a tiny screen. But yeah, the worst thing I've done with resin, I use pickle jars. They're not pickle trays for cleaning my stuff. And the worst thing I do is whenever I'm like up real late, I put the finished model inside the pickle tray, and I accidentally poured the resin instead of the printer. I went boop right into my pickle tray full of acetone, and I was like, oh shit. I was like, oh no, there went like 500 grams of resin right into the acetone. Now I gotta clean that out too. Oh. Only did that once. Now the pickle tray is far enough away. I can't pour it. I can't pour resin into it from where I'm sitting. Nope, I did not print the slimy beast for this army. No, I went with chariots. Even though you hear me complain about chariots every week whenever they pop up, I built chariots. Yeah, that's something I need to get is a distiller. But the way I have it running right now, like a gallon of acetone, I can usually get through 6 armies. Going through a whole gallon of acetone. So the distiller is not a need right now, it is a want. Okay, so let those sit for a minute. Yeah, see, that's kind of what I do when I dispose of stuff. Is I have a Diet Coke addiction, and so what I do is whenever I need to pour out the pickle jars, I put it into a Diet Coke bottle, and then let me see if I can get it from here. I have one. I have one window that gets direct sunlight. And this is what happens to it. When I put that in the direct sunlight, I get this jelly stuff. So there's really no recovering once it gets to this point. It's all nasty cloudy anyways when it gets to this point. And then what I do from here is I take it outside, pop the cap off, put it in the garage, just kind of, ooh, she's foamy. Just kind of let it sit with the cap off in the window in the garage, and then it will eventually turn into a powder. Then that gets thrown out. Speaking of that, I got 3 of those 2-liter bottles in the garage window right now. I think I'm running out of space. Better go pound those up one of these days. Alright, so all we got left are the horns and the claws. So for the claws, we're going to do pallid bone. Not in that one. We're going to use this one. I'm not carbonating it. No, what the acetone actually does is it will shrink the plastic. So that wasn't carbonated, that was just pressurized. Yeah, hold on, let me see. I got just to show that theory off. Here's an empty one. This is the thickness of a regular one, and then that got bad angles. That is after it's had acetone in it. It shrinks it up. See, that was the big thing about the chariots for me too, was printing the bases. Like the size they're supposed to be. Like, I feel like that base is a little bit big, but meh, is what it is. Yeah, Terrainaholic, he doesn't do anything in small batches. We're kindred spirits in that way. That's what I did. All right. Alright, so now all we got left is those horns, and I'm thinking darker for the horns. So there's a cool color. Brownish decay. Is it gonna work? I have no idea. Don't need much of it. Let's see. Yeah, that works. Alright, man, we're about done here anyways. Just got a couple more horns to touch. We'll catch you later. And that is going to do it. They are ready for washes and rusting and beating stuff up. And I think for that we're going to use this, and we're going to use this, and we're going to use some of this, and we're going to use just black, and I'm going to go nuts with that. But it's been an hour. We're going to call it there. And you guys can see how these beastmen are going to turn out. Not this weekend, but next weekend. There'll be a video on them. Members get access to videos first in case anyone wants to become a member. I don't shill it. It's there if you want, but everything, you guys get all the videos first. So that's going to do it for me tonight, guys. I got 15 more beastmen to paint before the game this weekend. So I'll catch you all later. Good night.